Good evening. My name is Thandi, and welcome to our weekly podcast. And today we are going to discuss the options of either remaining in Africa or coming abroad. We are just going to discuss opportunities, possible opportunities that Africa presents, as well as opportunities that overseas present. If possible, if everybody could introduce themselves and say where exactly they are. I'll start. My name is Thandiwe, and I am currently in Manchester, the United Kingdom. I'll go to Mandy first.
Hello, my name is Mandy. Currently in Liverpool, United Kingdom.
Then Tracy.
You're muted.
Meeting. Oh, my name is Tracy. I am in South Africa.
Patisi.
I'm Paddy, and I am in British Columbia, Canada.
And Skabobo.
Yeah, I'm in South Africa.
Which city?
Johannesburg.
Okay. And Noctula.
I'm Lisa, I'm in Texas, United States of America.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for attending today. What we wanted to discuss today is opportunities that are presented by either remaining in Africa, wherever we are coming, where we are originally from, or migrating to the United Kingdom, Canada, America. So I was wondering if No could start and take us through what her views are.
I don't know where to start, guys, because I think if you find it good where you are, you'd rather stay where you are. But obviously, with the economic changes in all over the world, we find ourselves migrating to other places, looking for greener pastures. So as far as I'm concerned, saying that I'm already in Texas myself and my family, obviously we were seeking for greener pastures. That's why we find ourselves here looking for a better life. So for now, I would say migrating is a good thing, as long as it works for you and as long as you know why you're migrating from your place of origin to the next place.
Thank you. So that we mix it up a little bit, I'll go to Tracy next, just to maybe catch up, what are the advantages of remaining in Africa and whether you've ever considered living abroad.
Unmute Tracy.
No. Okay, thank you so much. For me, home is always best. Home is where everybody is. I know with whatever is happening these days, we are scattered all over, but it would be nice to stay in Africa and try and do our best in Africa. It's not like I have never considered going overseas, but when I'm in Africa, there's a lot of family. You know, you tap into uncles, you tap into aunties. Some will argue there's the technology that keeps us all connected, but it's times you need to really go home and be with the people at home. I don't know if you guys never miss that, going and just sitting under the tree and just talking to the old people, catching up and doing all those things. It's tough, yes, but I think if we could make it in Africa, I would think Africa is better to stay than to go anywhere else.
Thank you. I'll go to Mandy. Mandy, could you maybe just capture your journey from home to the United Kingdom, whether you've had any struggles and whether there's anything that you sort of miss from not being in Africa?
There's a lot of things that not being in Africa that you, like my experience, personal experience, that I miss. Just like Tracy pointed out, being around family and all the things that like represent your culture. For example, social gatherings is quite different when you're here. So you do feel homesick. But I guess maybe I should address, your initial question about whether to go back or stay. I would like to I'd like to agree with Noor about the, migrating, obviously for greener pastures, because if you look at, well, I'm from Zimbabwe, the way the economy is and the way our leaders have, they're not really leading well, so to speak, but you can always visit back home. That's where I stand, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Patty, I think you've been abroad longer than all of us. Most of your life, your adult life has been abroad. Are you able to maybe just tell us a little bit about your experiences, how you feel, and between Africa and where you are, what is your take?
For me, I think when I saw this topic, I thought about what it exactly means to migrate. Like, I think there are many reasons to migrate, but I think most of us are going to focus on the economic part of our migration, which I believe maybe was the reason why we left. But I think sometimes people migrate to gain knowledge. And actually, when we think about it, migration, I think, is good because you learn about something that you probably wouldn't know if you remained in one place. So if you migrate with an end date, it's a different thing. It could be good to go out, seek, and bring knowledge home. If you migrate because you are forced out of there, for survival, that's a different thing. And I think a lot of African people have migrated due to hardships, not by choice. So that becomes very hard to actually say whether it's good or bad, because it's really survival. But ultimately, I think it is always best to fix your own house and make sure you are comfortable there. Because no matter, like, for instance, I've lived here for over 30 years or almost 30 years, but it never feels like home. But at the same time, because I left so early, I don't know what is home. When I go home, it doesn't feel like home. So there is a lot that's lost there, and it's hard to make a call, which is which, right? So I don't know. I don't know whether it's better to stay or to go. But what I know is that there, somewhere in between there, maybe we can find something good, because as a human species, we grow, and we grow from learning from others, right? So I think most of this migration could help us grow if we harvest what we learn, and also build up on our, in Africa type of thing, right? So there's it's good and bad.
Thank you, Pat. Skapopo, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. How I look at it is like this, short term people, okay, let's start here. There's engineered poverty that was put by these foreign people into Africa to make us think that we're poor here. So short term being relative, short term is in our lifetimes, people think it's better to go abroad and get food, and because of this engineered poverty, they think it's better out there. But ideally, it's actually more sustainable for everyone to stay here and build here, change the management here, change the leadership here. It works out more sustainable, and it can last longer, and more benefits for us to stay here than to go abroad, like you guys were saying, we lose ourselves by going out there. You think it's better out there, whereas no one is left here to actually fix the problems that we actually have here. that were engineered by these foreigners that came here and changed the way that we think here, you know? Change the education system, change everything. You understand? So we need proper leadership here, and then it works out better to stay here. I don't know if you guys can understand it.
I understand what you're saying, but it's a very complex one, because if this is manufactured, we are also I think it's fair to assume that the leadership we have is manufactured, right?
Yes.
And they create the system that we're stuck in.
Yes.
So to me, I think coming out of that situation and getting yourself embedded in this part of the world, maybe where they created, for instance, we'll speak where there is data like the British colonized at least Zimbabwe. So it is important for Zimbabwean people to go into Britain and implant themselves there, because you understand how they operate. Otherwise, you can stay in Africa and think you can beat them from there. But if you don't understand your enemy, how can you beat them? How can you uproot them? Because they came to Africa and understood how we are. So they know how we operate, and they engineered the system according to how we respond. I think it's fair for African people to saturate Britain and figure out how the British work, so that they can uproot the evil that they planted in Africa. Otherwise, if we remain in Africa, we get like the First Nations here in Canada, they got poisoned and got killed, and no one even knows about it, right? Because you're outside. But okay, go ahead.
We're not just staying here. If you're staying here, we stay here and change the education system, because the education system that they came with only benefits them. With this education system, even if you go out there, they don't open up the doors that you really need to see. They don't open up the financial doors to teach us about finance, to teach us about how the system actually works out there. You understand? So the best thing is to stay here, create our own schools, and teach ourselves our own way of education. You understand? Forget the rest. Otherwise, I mean, if it was better out there, everyone would be out there. Africa will be empty. These guys are coming. While we're trying to go and learn their systems there, they're busy stealing and finishing whatever is left out here.
There might be truth to that. I think personally, migrating is more of an individual thing. It isn't like about community, but it is about surviving yourself. You know, like sometimes there is quite a lot that you are powerless to change. A couple of days ago, when I was actually driving to work, I was listening to this girl who was talking about her father. She is from the islands, I believe maybe from Trinidad. She lived in her father brought them up here, and most of her father's life, the father wanted to go back home, worked most of his life, hoping to build and move back home. But when he eventually had enough and the children had grown and he went back home, there was nothing. There was no one that he knew. And the children were here. Most of his family were here. Sometimes, like I think Patty did say, sometimes you don't really belong. We can actually, I've been living abroad for about 21 years. But if I'm to be honest, I still do get homesick. I still do. Every so often you're told that you are a foreigner. You're often told to go back to where you came from. So it isn't that is comfortable, but it is about survival more than anything. You can't really...
You're talking individual survival. I want us to discuss survival as a people. You know what I mean? We're more powerful, united. You can have money on your own, but your money is not going to change anything. But if we're together here, we can make a bigger voice. We can make a greater change, united here. You understand? We change the system completely by staying here. Whereas if you go out there, you change and then you look down upon the people that are left out here, you think you're better than them. Whereas we're just one people, do you understand? If we stayed here and change the system from the ground up, we'll actually make a difference than going out there in singles. Do you understand? Divided with we're nothing. That's why when you come back here, you find like you're lost. You don't even you feel like you don't even belong anymore. You understand? But if you had stayed here, go back to Emakai, everyone is united. They speak the same voice, they speak the same language. They might not have much. They actually do have a lot, but they don't know what they have because no one teaches them that. So the leadership needs to change how the people think, change the schooling, the education system, teach people that they are whatever they need, they have already. Do you understand? People don't know that they have the wealth here. Otherwise, the white people or the people from the foreign people wouldn't be coming here. They're coming here to get what is here. Whatever the resources, whatever is here. We've got everything here, but we just don't know that we have it. We go look for work out there. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, jump in.
What I want to say is we all know that resources are being stolen from Africa and brought overseas. So the thing is, we should come and penetrate the foreign countries, get what they're busy taking from us back in Africa and take it back. And the more we come here, the more then the systems will be balanced, because whatever they are hiding from us, we'll be able to penetrate, take whatever we can and go back there. We'll be sitting in their faces and showing them that we are here because you've been there. You've done this to us and here we are still chasing what you took away from us. So it's always a good idea that everyone tries by all means, if they can, to come and show them that all that you're busy taking from us in Africa, it's right here and this is what we are following here. The reason why we are poor in Africa is because of your interference, going there and taking what belonged to us and coming and making things here and selling them back to us on higher prices. Yet you use us as labor on the other side to get what you want and you pay us peanuts. So here we are here to take what you took from us.
You're still getting peanuts out there. Do you understand? No one is actually making real money out there. You're still general labor or whatever.
I think if we speak from knowledge, the thing is, of course, when you come to this country, you will start from maybe you'll be a laborer. But if you have your game, if you know your game, you will move because there is opportunity. There is opportunity. Once, like we look at, there is plenty of opportunity for people to grow here. Because what I know is that if you come to this country and you become a Canadian, in order for them to uproot you, they would have to classify what kind of Canadian and pull you out of that. And that is in the world stage, right? So it's going to be very, very hard to do that. But, for example, they were the British, I think, what do they call it? What was the group that came from the Caribbean that they are sending back? They were sending back a little while ago.
What is it called, Mandy? You know those, do you know what he's talking about?
So, the Caribbean people that they sent back, and because they had come to Britain as laborers, but they never really got the proper paperwork.
You mean, the Windrush, Windrush,
yeah. So if you have the actual citizenship and there is, when you take the citizenship oath, it is for everybody. There is nobody excluded in that. So they would have to really leap further to exclude me in what a citizen of Canada is entitled to. So that's a very powerful thing. So in that law, it never says you cannot own land in this country. I am entitled to make as much money as I can, and I can buy as much land as I can. So that is mine. It's going to be very difficult to take it away, because if you take it away from me, you'd have to take it away from another Canadian who is Canadian. Black, white, yellow, green, no. But in Africa, they can come and displace all of us. And they've done it, like in West Africa, where they have all the, you know, these plantations of palm oil, you know, and where they harvest salt, they've destroyed livelihoods. Where they were getting oil in Nigeria and all these places, they displace and people die. No one ever even gets to know about it. However, if you are in this part of the world, and maybe they will kill you for sure. I mean, African people are being targeted all the time. Black people are being targeted, but you stand a better chance here than all of us being back in Africa and being excluded in the other conversations where everybody is included. You know, it's a global village. You have people from all over being active in the Western, whatever is in this capitalism, right? So we need to participate in that in order to bring up our people. We shouldn't be petty about little things like, oh, you went overseas, you think you're better than other people. No, actually people that are overseas, I have never felt that I'm better than anybody, but for some weird reason, whether it's an inferiority complex or whatever, people would look at me and say, you think you're better. I'm not better, but I have been exposed to this culture for as long as I can. And sometimes my mannerisms and the way I do things, just let me finish. My mannerisms and how I do things may seem like it's arrogance or it's, you know, it has a superior complex, but in the absolute honest truth, most people that are in this part of the world are not. They actually see the value in back home. It is important for the people back at home to not see people that are coming from the diaspora as enemies, but as people that we can say, what knowledge do we have to share? Because I know myself, when I go home, I'm always looking for what I can learn from the people from home that I have missed over these years. So if we are really genuinely talking about working collaboratively, everybody has to meet in the middle with the intention to actually learn from each other and uplift each other.
Okay, let me catch Mandy before I go to Scar. Mandy, do you have anything to add?
Yes, so I see like there's, you know, a lot of like focus on, you know, the fact that, you know, the colonization is the reason why we are where we are today. But I really beg to differ with that one, because I think that we as a people had our opportunity, you know, from the time we got, you know, our independence. But I also personally believe that, you know, there's a lot of like corruption with leadership. And so if we were to all come together and say we want to rebuild or build, you know, I think it would be not impossible, but, you know, quite hard, because if the powers that be that are supposed to lead us, they've got so much power. If we wanted to change the health system, wanted to change the educational system, you know, they are in it for themselves. I don't think, you know, it would be that easy. You know, I'm not saying it's impossible, but, you know, I think, you know, the leaders are in it for themselves with what's going on. I think, I don't know what anyone else thinks about that, but yeah.
I have one response to that. I
Wait,
think one of the
let's
biggest things,
then you can come, yeah.
one of the biggest things we have to do is the dissemination of power. It shouldn't always be top down. It should be dispersed. And actually, I think as a world, as a globe, people should have more power than a few individuals. So if we start by that, and what I mean by that, if we want to change the education system, if we want to change the medical system, we are the doctors, we are the nurses, we are the educators. We start at grassroots level, and we start changing there. And then the ripple effect going up, the people at the top will not have anything to say but to listen to us. Now, what we are doing currently is we are sitting down and waiting for the message from the top for these few people to decide. And they don't have to decide because they want to run their own tenure, like, okay, 5 years or 10 years, I'm done and I'm gone, I loot. But if we take away the power, start doing it from the ground up, we can make a difference. And I still say, you know, look at how you can change, like start from where you are. And I think part of the issue with us Africans is that we are good at talking and pointing at others like those people should change. We should change. If I am a teacher, I should start teaching my children, the children in the neighborhood, and start really instilling that greatness, that they are great, and then it will spread. And then by the time the government tries to interfere, it's hitting a solid wall, and that's the only way we can change it. We are not going to change the looting. We're not going to change, and this is why it's critical. I would use that group of women. That group is going to change Zimbabwe. The way they are approaching it, they are taking power onto their hands and they're doing it. And little by little, of course, they'll find setbacks where maybe some of their work gets destroyed. But as they gather together and stronger and push forward, they are going to be the change.
Okay.
But there shouldn't be a Zimbabwe. That's still colonial strategy. There shouldn't be a Zimbabwe. There shouldn't be a South Africa. The fact
I hear you, but we can go further and say there shouldn't be a Ndlovu crawl. We cannot. It is what it is. It's where we can start, right?
Let's just try and share the time. Everybody to participate.
Yes.
If you say something, Skapopo, let Uno speak as well.
Okay. You can speak.
No, I don't really have much, but now maybe I'm starting to miss part of the argument, whether people are saying should we migrate or not. But the thing is, even if we stay back home with the poverty that people are faced with, there's very little that we can do to change our lives, because it will be an individual benefit. Whoever is back their home is just doing it for their own families. But we are talking as a nation, can we still prefer to stay in Africa and make it work? And how do we stop the stealing of resources from Africa, going to other foreign countries and benefiting them instead of us using those resources? And are we being taught the right skills for us to use in our countries instead of taking our skills and going to broaden them abroad and using them there, not using them in our country? And also, even if you migrate, you can still go back to your families, because with the migration, it doesn't mean that I've left my roots. I'm still back there. I'm still home. I still come and talk to my family. I still connect with my family. But the only thing that makes me migrate is poverty. I'm looking for a better life, a better education for my children, a better tomorrow for them and their children. So this is why we migrate. This is why we are in their faces
poverty,
today.
Poverty is relative. It's just in the mind frame. When we grew up, Zambia, they said it was the poorest. The currency of just leadership, management. We do away with the borders and put proper management. We're gone. Everything, there's no poverty here. Everything that we need, we have. We just need proper management and do away with the borders. That's it. And proper schooling. Teach the people that we have everything that we need here. Do you understand?
So where do you get proper management? Where do you get them from? Because the people at the top are busy.
It starts with the discussion right now. We discuss it, we agree, then we put one leader, one country.
No,
Yes.
Here's the thing. The problem is waiting for that leader. So, Scar, where you sit, if you identify an issue, we must always look to ourselves and say, what have I done to solve this problem?
Yes.
There is no Messiah. There is no someone who has more power than you. So every single person with the support of each other. Now, let's not underestimate mentorship. The issue is that sometimes we do not take mentorship. You see someone trying to mentor, we have so much energy to take down that. We call them arrogant, we call them superior. But deep inside you, like for instance, where I sit here, I can say, let's say I want Beyonce's money. It's the easiest I can reference here. But then what I do, my actions are, I berate Beyonce. I'm like, she's slutty or she's this and that. What kind of energy are you creating? So identify your mentors or people that you look up to or the life that you want as an individual first, and then as a family second, as a nation third. And I look at those countries that you aspire your country to be like, the people that you see, and it's not only financial, but the way how people do things, you know, their values,
And
how
secondly,
they make decisions.
but
So if
time-
you learn
time.
that and follow that mentorship, we can move anything, we can change anything, but everybody has to see it in them that they are the change and identify what they can contribute. Talking is cheap. Everybody can sit and talk until the cows come home. But I think Africans, we've been talking for too long. We need to step up. If we think we want different education, just look around there. Even like there's so many
Time,
children.
I'm saying time. Okay, check that out, time. But time. Maybe we can start by asking ourselves, as we are, the 5 of us right now, what have we done? Let's say you guys have been overseas for years and years. Have you done anything to contribute towards the change that you want done?
Absolutely. I can
Yes.
stand up any day and tell you I have multiple times.
Let's hear it.
It
You want me to
isn't
give you
about justifying it, Kapopo.
I want to hear so that maybe we can learn from that.
Listen,
We can,
anybody, I can give you, for instance, I'll start with Ujoin because that's the simplest. So when she came overseas, she was going to school and we would talk about her homework. She'd be like, oh, what do you know? She bounces off ideas. We mentor each other. When I'm going for a contract, I call it when I say, this is what is on my contract. What do you think? Because I know she has a clear mind. She's not too involved in it, right? When I don't want to talk about personal stuff, but when someone is trying to get an education and is trying to get themselves, because first of all, you have to be able to take care of yourself. I have stepped up more than you know, I can count in these two hands to say, if that's an education, let's step up, let's do it, right? If it is medication, if it is surgery for someone to get better and get back to school, let's do it. So that is the power that I can do. For my children, I teach them how to deal with people, how to talk to people, and how to be better citizens, and what to look out. Like from my experience being here, like having lived 53 years, I say, you know, when people move carts this way, this is what it means. Look out for it so that you don't fall into that pit. That's what I do. Every day I mentor, every day I share what I know. For instance, when you know, when people were making money, I said, guys, let's get into the stock market. Let's start doing stuff. I share the knowledge. And this is in the hope that we all move out of survival mode where we are just working to get hand to mouth, right? To once we can feed our families and we are secure, we have roofs over our heads, then we can really start thinking at a higher level, like how do we move to the next level, right? And this to me is, I can stand up and say, it's been my contribution. Wherever I see an opportunity to move the dial, I step up and say, let's move. So I can ask the same of you, how have you contributed?
Instead of
How
going
is that
back
benefiting?
and forth, instead of
Yeah.
going, let's all be involved in the conversation. Madi, do you want to contribute anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, with the suggestion of like the ripple effect from the bottom up, if of course you know, we were to actually go back and build, you know, our countries or Africa as a whole, and you know, I would before that, because ideally I would love to, you know, return back home, but it's just a matter of whether this idea of the ripple effect from the bottom up is actually how practical is
Mm.
it. Do you know what I mean? Because we can discuss and it can be just an idea that does sound, you know, possible, but is it actually, you know, practical? Can we put it in place? I don't know if you know what I mean. And
Yeah,
would it be effective at all?
Because sometimes what happens is you start something, but somehow there is sabotage. You know, you start something in Africa mostly. I don't know about abroad, but in Africa, there is this thing. You speak to almost everybody, you know, you start trying to build in Africa, and there is this little sabotage, you know, like, I don't know what it is about. I think this is the effect of people believing that if you are abroad, you believe that you are better than people at home, which is sort of something I haven't sort of pinpointed where this is coming from, because it's not something that the people in diaspora feel, but it is something that seems to be common, even when you're speaking, not just to family, because I've also got friends. There is the hint of every time people will say something, and then when you say something, it's like you are thinking you are better than them. And the other thing I was actually thinking is the skills that we actually deliver here, all of us, whatever we do, the skills that we deliver here, it's not like these skills are not needed at home. These are skills that would benefit our own countries if we were to go back. But somehow at home, everybody is coming to deliver the same skills. Like you, Mandy, you are a nurse. The nursing skills are very much needed in Africa, but a lot of nurses are migrating abroad. And that was why I needed Scar's wife to be here, so that we can sort of have that conversation about why here and why not there.
Okay, it goes back to that management thing that we discussed, Angit. The leadership, they're not paying these people, they're not giving them the proper.
But at the same time, I want to understand what people mean by the people abroad are better than them. What do they mean by better? How are you better?
No one
Because
actually said that. She thinks that. No one actually said that. Now,
will you let me talk?
And now it's already an hour, and said you just came in.
No, let's continue. She can listen, but she can listen on podcast. No, continue. No, what were you going to say?
And she can contribute.
I just lost my thought. I lost my thought, but it's all good. You guys can go ahead.
Tony, do you have the ability to mute people?
I should. Oh, who's
Oscar, I think maybe his power has gone off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've muted Use for now. Let me see. Let me say to put on your
camera. Also, if you can mute Oscar, because I think we fail to put our points across, because as soon as you start talking about something, it just crosses over and you end up losing your thought, because now it's like on a one-on-one and you don't understand what you're talking about.
That's fair. If he does come back, I'll be muting Oscar. Okay, go on now.
No, it's fine. It's just that I wanted to find out, like, I just wanted to understand the way people say someone coming abroad is better than the people back in Africa. It all depends on what they mean by better, because the reason why I'm abroad, I went there to just, try and help back. And maybe like someone asked, what have we done to contribute back to Africa? Looking at the life these days, the economic situation, we have helped Ubaba as a family. We've helped Ubaba survive, medically and with his daily living and etc. So in a way, there is a contribution there. And looking at the situation at the moment, if we were all back there, I don't know how we would be managing to look after him the way we do now, or helping our own children have jobs and the like. Because we've got our kids this side and they are working. But if you look back in Africa, those other family members of ours that we left back there, they don't have jobs. And we've got people that don't have jobs, that just survive from hand to mouth. But here, like Party 8 said earlier, there's plenty of opportunities of you going to school, opportunities of you going to work and looking after your family, opportunities of even looking after yourself and making a life for yourself until then, good health systems and all, So the way people say when you come here, you feel like you're better than others, better in which way? I don't know.
I think most probable, because Oscar Popo is no longer on the chart, so we really don't know what he was. This could most probably be answered on the comments if Oscar Popo feels he needs to. Hi, Setu, how are you?
You're on mute.
Are you able to do this? Or we are almost done. I just. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, darling.
No, I think I'm just gonna listen in for today because I am
Oh, that's
late. I
fine.
actually
Yeah,
just got
that's all
home
right.
now.
Yeah, no, we
I just got
will.
home now.
But let me ask you one question, Setu, before we carry on. Do you ever feel that abantu overseas are better than, or behave in a manner that seems better than the people at home?
It's in what sense?
I'm not sure, but it was a statement that was made, but I'm trying to understand, because sometimes I'm trying to think whether I've heard it from more people, but somehow it sticks in my head.
Yeah, I have.
What I have noticed, people who are overseas are a lot more open-minded and are more susceptible. What that word? They're more open to change, rather. Let me use that one. So they seem to have a better understanding of different aspects of life. Like, for example, a simple example. When I'm here at home, say if I want to confide, auntie about something personal, it's easier to talk to Lena. Not because you're my aunties, but I think even the mindset is different. Labantu banga, who I know when she was in SA or when she was here, I couldn't tell her anything, but I think now I can. I think somehow it opens up a person's mind to a lot of differences, a lot of changes in life, and understanding that some things you just have to accept as they are, or be open to them, or have an open mind towards life. Basically, that's what I can say. They're better in that way. They are not closed-minded.
I think though traveling, Mina, I think traveling and being exposed to different cultures and different people, even, like if you live in one place, you only know about that, but sometimes you are challenged by different people and you think, this sounds okay. Like I actually, from the time I was living at Kaya and the time I lived at Goli and then moved here, I noticed because of the influence. I noticed that.
But that is really an interesting observation, and thank you for telling us that, because I've often wondered. But then I don't know whether Oscar, when he said it, he meant it in a positive way, because for you, the way you interpret it, it is a positive, but maybe it's sort of like a double-edged sword, because I think the local people may take that as an offense, but to us, it seems like a compliment, that we appreciate that you say we are closed-minded, because open-minded, because I think ultimately in life, you want to be able to hear everybody and to see, which I think the conditioning from the British was never like that. It was always like, it is one way or no other way. So it's to me, it indicates a bit of freeing ourselves from that conditioning, which I'm grateful for. A takeaway that I've learned from being away from Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And also from what you guys have just said now, living abroad, like you said, to say it makes somebody to be open-minded. Back in Africa, you are taught to not to say some things that really they're not worth not saying. You really have to speak out. You are taught not to say some things. Like you'll find that someone will have some uncle will come and maybe rape a niece, and then when it's discovered that this girl was made pregnant by her uncle, they'll say, oh please, blah blah blah. Things like that. We are taught to hide some things that are not supposed to be hidden. And when you come here, you are taught to speak out, say it to you. Why would they do this? Tell them out, make people know that this person is doing this to me and I don't like it, or this happened to me and this is the person that did it. So it helps you communicate even more, and tell the truth, tell it like it is, than to beat about the bush. Because in Africa, we're even taught about beating about the bush. Even when you propose to a girl, you are not supposed to say it straight up that I like you, I love you. You are told to say, you sure, things like this. So moving abroad, you learn a lot of different things. So much that when you come back, they think, oh, because now you are telling the truth, you are telling things as they are. That's my thing.
General self-expression, I can say, because when you're in Zim, basically I can say here at home, when an elder speaks, you do not respond unless they ask you to respond, and even then they use your response against you. Basically, ukuthi umuntu omdala engakhuluma akaphendulwa.
And
But
I
in
think-
general self-expression, you have to keep your opinions and thoughts to yourself as a form of respect, rather. You just have to keep everything in just because you're younger. But when you go abroad, you see that younger people actually have a voice and actually get to speak their minds and express themselves. And I believe, because here they do not believe an elder person can learn anything from a child. But I've seen abroad, they say you should pay attention to the children. You never know what you can learn from your child. But it's not the case this side. It's very different. But since we're now the global community, we get to hear these things and learn, but you just learn and keep it to yourself and not exactly practice it. But when you're now abroad, you have the freedom and platform to practice that self-expression.
What do you think, Mandy?
Well, I agree, you know, because I think that, as you say, that because different cultures here, you can't even your vibe and everything.
Why are
And
you
one,
cracking up, Mandy? Can everybody hear Mandy properly? You are cracking up a little bit. I'm not sure whether your Wi-Fi is playing. Yeah, better go on.
yeah. So yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. It's even when like when you tend to speak to family members or friends, you know, back home, you realize the difference in the way, you know, we think, you know, and obviously you also recognize that that's the way you used to think as well. Because I think one main thing that I've also noticed here, I don't know if anyone would agree with me, is that how obviously back home they used to put forward the importance of formal education, where, you know, going to school, but when you come here, it's also the I don't know if how I can put it, like general knowledge that also counts, and also the knowledge that you learned from, you know, experiences and things like that. Whereas back home, it's just like, no, go to school, go to school. We're talking about obviously university and things like that. But then I've realized that also knowledge that you learn in different ways, and, you know, different skills, you know, and things like that that you learn not necessarily in university, you know, are of value other than just school. Because back home, if you have not gone to a certain level, you know, in university, or gone to university at all, you know, you're not rated, you know. But I've seen here when you are abroad, you know, there's a lot of value in other different experiences and different skills, and you can also gain knowledge in different ways other than just, you know. So I see that a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else want to add anything? Noktula? Thank you. Patisiwe?
Yeah, I know, I'm good. I'll still stick to saying people must move overseas, you know, just
Okay.
for betterment of their lives.
Okay. I said to, since you are now the only one we had Tracy and Star earlier before you got here, but now you are the only one. Who's that?
Hello?
Yes, madam. What's up?
Are you here? Yeah.
Setu, like, since you are the only one who's still in Africa, we had Tracy and Star earlier on. In comparison with being at home or living abroad, what do you think? Do you think it is something that you would ever consider or have ever considered, or is home, if you were given, you know, like the tools, you would be good at home? Because Star talked earlier about education and maybe building our own nation, you know, building our own country.
I think it's a good sentiment to think along the lines of trying to build a country, but at the end of the day, you have to look after yourself and your interests. I think personally, if I had an opportunity to go overseas, I would. But what makes me hesitant is the whole starting from scratch, a life in a new place, a new environment, new rules, new laws, and using English 24/7. I think I would struggle that one a bit. But yes, I think I would consider going overseas.
How old
But
are you
it's
now?
not. Pardon?
How old are you now?
I'm going on 32 now.
Okay. No, I came
I'm
abroad
saying
when I was
32.
28. No, I came when I was 28.
Yes, but for me, I can't say I've established myself, but I have had I have my ways of survival while here, and I can actually find a few pennies here and there. I cannot go like the whole month. I might not be working right now, but there's ways that I am able to get money for myself and for my daughter. But moving abroad would mean starting from the beginning. Like the usual system you're used to is gone. You have to find new ways. And that could take time if you're unlucky. But if you're one of the lucky ones, it can work well for you. But that whole thought of, hey, square one
I don't think
is one that
overseas
makes
is
me
for
hesitate.
everybody. I think it's not for everybody. It is quite a
Yeah, it's not for
culture shock.
everybody.
Yeah, it's a culture shock.
I think another thing, I think getting maybe the whole dynamics and cultural change. I'm used to this whole close-minded environment, and then I go to this whole open-minded environment where you are not careful what you say or what you do, but this side you have to like be careful what you say and be careful not to offend anybody. Or you might think what offends people this side doesn't offend them there, what offends them there doesn't offend us this side. So now that whole change of dynamic, I don't know how long it will take me to actually adjust to that. Maybe I'm able to just quickly, I don't know. I have friends who are overseas.
When
I've had
your
friends
aunt
come
Noor-
here.
Your aunt No was actually, I think, the oldest of all of us when she moved, isn't it?
She was what? She was,
Yeah.
She-
Because I was
she was what?
28. Patty was the youngest. I think, Patty, how old were you when you migrated overseas?
23.
Yeah. I was 28.
But you know what? I think at your age, Setu, it's easy to migrate as a professional. So what that means is, let's say, what are you? Are you an engineer?
I'm a
What's your-
metallurgist.
Yeah, metallurgist. So if you got a job as a metallurgist, it's quite seamless to migrate. It's when you come here and you don't have the qualifications, because I think, Mandy, did you
Exactly.
migrate with your nursing? Were you already a nurse or did you train there?
No, I
You
trained here.
qualified recently. How
Yeah.
long have you been qualified, Mandy?
A year.
Yeah,
Qualified.
but when you look at people that come already with the qualifications, I think the transition is easier. What I think is necessary is that everybody should get an experience. You can come here maybe for a year or 2 years, learn and say, this is not for me, or see how it goes, because I think you will learn a lot if you pull yourself from your comfort zone and have to really think. I think everybody needs to experience that.
True.
And then you get a greater
Yeah.
appreciation for life.
Yeah, I think I would love to. Just for the experience, I would come. Hey, but you know, I don't
Can
know.
I say something? Can I say something pertaining to what you said to us? Just say to Rutia, she cannot start from scratch. Say to the say life begins at 40. So you say you are only heading to 32 right now. And I'm thinking overseas, maybe migrating and moving from wherever you are. We're not talking coming to the States, coming to Canada, or coming to the UK. With that kind of profession that you have, you can apply even in South Africa, neighboring countries. We are still very close to home. So I don't understand why you say you are scared to start from scratch, because I promise you haven't even started right now. Even at 32, you haven't even started anything. You are still going to start a life with someone else. You're still going to get married. You're still going to start a life whether you like it or not. You might be saying, you're so scared of change, whatever. Give it a shot. Try it. It worked for me. I'm here. I don't know if you think I'm not happy, but I'm super happy myself. I'm super
But you always said to also, oh, sorry, first. Yeah.
happy.
I think you should you know, you should always push yourself outside your comfort zone. You should try to go to places where you are really scared. And when you're scared and you make it through that being scared, you grow in so much. Like your life right now, you know, you can say, oh, I make enough to just take care of me and my daughter. But when I listen to you, you are so brilliant. It could drastically change your life. Like you could be totally, and you have to see it, you have to believe it. Like you take that risk, it may be really hard. Like they always talk about how you get the precious metal, right, from when you dig. It's so much heat, it's so much pain, but you get this beautiful piece of, I don't know, diamond or gold. And that's what life is. Every time you're challenged, and then you enter, like you go into the next phase, and it's magical. So you just have to believe that there is absolute magic and so much better for you out there than what you have. And just go forth with it. Because what we fear is like, oh, I'm gonna lose this, or I'm gonna die. We just don't know when we're gonna die and how. There is no one has the keys to, or the ticket to say, okay, today, maybe some people may commit suicide, but really at the end of the day, we do not know what's going to kill us. So just take the leap of faith. You've lived 32 years and it wasn't what maybe you wanted.
No.
You know, you got nothing to lose really in this life. You just have to go for it and have faith that what you're trying to achieve will happen. And you'll be okay. And the more you practice that, the more confident you will be at trying new things and pushing yourself, and one day you become the prime minister.
Mugabe is scared. Mandy, if you say your last words and then I'll just close.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I was gonna say, about the initial question at hand, about going back home, staying at home or migrating. I think there has, we pointed out, like benefits in migrating and how it's changed the way we think, and has made us more open-minded. But if I were to choose, I think I'd still stay. I think it's better to, migration is better, because it's just the biggest question about how effective it would be to try to change from the bottom up, and how possible it is, and whatever else we would have to sacrifice or lose. I know it's talking from a very selfish point of view, but I think I would definitely choose migration still from the get-go. Yeah.
Thank you, Mandy. Okay, Seth, if I can tell you a funny story about me. I work, I am 50 this year. My work contract expires every 3 months. So every 3 months, I might not have a job. So I am always working on, and I change jobs quite regularly. Has William told you this before?
No, he's never told me.
Oh, yeah, because me and William, every so often when I change contracts, me and William will discuss it. I am constantly, sometimes me and William have actually sort of, wait, so should you go to this contract and this? So I talk to William about my contracts, my earnings and everything. So I am always, I left home, I lived in South Africa, and then I lived in the UK. For the last year, I've been living in an island outside of, close to France. So I am constantly on the go. Even though I'm an old woman, I actually don't really, so this contract that I'm sitting on right now, 23rd of December, it's done. By Christmas, I have no job. If I have been good, they might extend. But it's possible that by Christmas, I might not have a job. I will enjoy my Christmas nicely. January, I'll try and find another job. So sometimes that is my fuel. That fear fuels me because I'm never comfortable, ever. And I'm no longer able to walk. You see me, ever since I came back from home, now I'm always wobbly. I'll show you one day when I walk. I'm completely useless. I can't walk, but I'm always on the go. That is my fuel. So I hope our stories will inspire you, not necessarily to do anything drastic, but just try and get yourself out of the comfort zone. I will seal the recording now and then just stay. Is that okay? No one else has got anything
Okay.
else to get. Can I seal the recording?